Right, this is News Desk, and my name is Kemini Nyamani Amano. Let's get into our first matter. An outbreak of cholera has left 2 persons dead and 350 persons hospitalized as insanitary conditions in the capital worsen with the onset of the rains. The figures, according to the Deputy Director of Health for the Greater Accra region, Dr. John Eliezer, has been recorded in the last 3 weeks in 4 out of Greater Accra's 16 districts. Speaking to Joy News, he said the Accra Metro recorded 274 cases. West 14, La Dade Kotopo Municipal Assembly recorded 58 cases, and Lejukuku Krowa Municipality recorded 4 cases. The outbreak confirms fears expressed by the Ghana Health Service in May that a breakdown in the waste management system in the capital could spark an epidemic as the rainy season began. So we want to get into a conversation around what the next step is from here. 350 cases, 2 persons have died. The rains are still here with us. It's not like Accra has been able to manage its waste situation. What is the next step from here? We'll try and get in touch with the appropriate authorities in a bit. Now, while we raise Dr. Simpson over the phone, we'll move on to some other matters briefly. A security expert with the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center is cautioning leaders of demonstrations in the country not to allow their actions to degenerate into violence. Dr. Kwesi Yenin is more worried about the potential of militants in the West African sub-region infiltrating these demonstrations to cause mayhem in the country. Now, Ghana has seen a groundswell of industrial action across the country over the past few months, and with workers protesting what they say is the high standard of living in the country. Hikes in fuel price, utility price, and fall in the city have created a lot of discontent against the government. Right, so President John Mahama sworn in 11 new ministers and deputy ministers of state with a charge on them to eschew acts of corruption and assist him overcome the challenges confronting the nation. The 11 were approved by Parliament after the vetting some weeks ago.
President Mahama told the 11 new ministers and deputy ministers of state that he has great expectations of them and needs their support to help him deal with the current challenges facing the country.
We believe you have what it takes to do the job. Our people are tired of listening to fine talk. What they want to see is the deliverables that will make their lives better. As I said last week at the National House of Chiefs, the time for talking is over. Let us roll up our sleeves and get to work.
He asked them to see the appointment as a privilege and serve selflessly.
In carrying out your duties, you must ensure that you protect the fundamental human rights and freedoms of every person in Ghana, no matter their place of origin, political opinion, color, religion, creed, or gender. In agreeing to join this administration, you are agreeing to ensure that all Ghanaian citizens enjoy reasonable access to public facilities and service and opportunities in accordance with the law. Indeed, we have a collective responsibility to protect our values and our traditions. Let me state that all efforts will be undertaken to ensure that we preserve, secure, and protect our social order founded on our rich traditions as Africans and on the ideals and principles of freedom, equality, justice, probity, and accountability as enshrined in our Constitution.
Health Minister Dr. Kwekwajiman Mensah, on behalf of his colleagues, promised not to let the president down.
And we'll make sure that the better Ghana becomes a living reality. It's not going to be easy, but with God on our side, we will deliver.
Alex Segbefia, Niosa Mills, Atusapon, and Nchibo Siako Setre were some of the ministers and deputies sworn in by the president, said Kwame Boateng's report from the Flagstaff House.
Now, the Concerned Ghanaians for Responsible Governance is throwing its weight behind the TUC, an organized labor-led one-day strike slated for Thursday, July 24. The group is urging all members to join the protest to demand a better Ghana from the current government. In a press statement signed by the Executive Secretary of the group, George Anti, Concerned Ghanaians for Responsible Governance also urges the police to be professional in the discharge of their duties while providing security for the strikers, as they did in the case of Occupy Flagstaff House. I have here with me in the studio George Anti. George Anti is the Executive Secretary of this group, Concerned Ghanaians for Responsible Governance. You're welcome to the program. You're not giving government any space at all.
We shouldn't. We voted for the officers who are serving the country. So why should we give them space? They are working, that's what they say. But the work they are doing is not translating into an improvement in the socio-economic conditions of the ordinary Ghanaian. So we will not give government space, no. That's what we've been doing in the past, and that's what has brought us here. So something must change.
When we look at the case of TUC, or organized labor, and the facts that the police has mentioned, we can't really provide adequate security if we should go nationwide. Shouldn't we take a step back?
Well, thank you. You see, the position of the law is very clear. The freedom of expression or the right to free speech is a guaranteed right under the 1992 Constitution. Now, if you look at the Public Order Act, what is required of any group of persons who decide to protest is that they notify the police at least 5 days, 5 clear days before the protest. Now, it is the duty of the police then to provide security. And if for some reason the police cannot, you dialogue with the group. If you jaw and there's no end to that, the police has room to go to court to seek an injunction to stop the protesters. But anything outside that, then I don't think we are following the law then. Yeah.
But I think if security cannot be maintained on that day, perhaps we should look at what the police has suggested on going on a regional basis instead of the nationwide strike. But away from that, the issues that TUC is raising, we could say similar to what Occupy Flagstaff House raised, which is your group, the Concerned Ghanaians for Responsible Governance. My issue is the facts that these issues cannot have a 1 day 360 turnaround.
Yeah.
And so then when I speak of giving the government some space, I'm speaking about giving the government some time to see if we're going to, you know, see any positive changes towards what we're looking for. But we haven't. And this is just back to back, back to back. Why has it got to be so?
Thank you very much. I think we need to ask ourselves, and indeed government needs to ask itself, how did we get here? See, the problem mainly is not that there are no solutions to the problem, or the challenges that we are faced with currently. Pick the economy, for instance. We were all here when the National Economic Forum was held at Senchi, the outcome of which has come to be known as the Senchi Consensus. As I speak to you today, where is that document? Where are the recommendations? Those are supposed to be some well thought through solutions to the economic challenges that we are facing. Where's that document?
It's been worked on. I think the last I heard of it...
it's in the pipeline. Plans are far advanced. We are doing our best. The refrain is something we've gotten used to now. See, and if government wants us to bear with it, we cannot bear with government in a vacuum. Political promises will not cut it anymore. We've gotten to a time where we need to be given specific timelines. We need an action plan. If you roll out a policy and there are no timelines, how do we assess the effectiveness of that policy? How do we evaluate that policy if there are no timelines? So we are doing A, we are doing B, we are doing C. But the people are feeling X, Y, Z. So there is a disconnect.
Let's just say since Occupy Flagstaff House, we've seen a number of changes being done. And I'm in no way saying that it was as a result of that protest that we are seeing the changes. We've seen the president outline new ministers recently. Monday he's sworn in a few of them, and we've seen our budget review where finance minister is asking for 3 million more. Are these some of the changes you were expecting when you started the protests?
No. These changes, I don't see how different they are. Personally, from where I sit, and indeed CGRG shares that view too. We are repeating the same old thing, and that's the problem. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. It's about time government stopped paying lip service to the good people of this country.
But that will be far from lip service, considering that when you look at the people the president is now bringing aboard, from the beginning we had told the president that he had sacrificed experience for youthful people, people who they may consider inexperienced when it comes to governance. And the president seems to have heeded to that call now. We have a number of experienced people coming aboard as ministers of state now. If that is not the change you're looking for, what are you looking for?
Well, thank you very much. Now, our fight is a fight for responsible governance. Now, encompassed in that concept of responsible governance is the principle of transparency, of accountability, of good governance, of the rule of law, of all the positive tenets that any democracy must have. Now, I'll give you one instance. Look at the recent increase in petroleum products, the price of petroleum products. We predicted it. That is the CGRG. In the petition that we presented to the president on July 1st, we hinted that the increase was looming over our heads. Government was quick to debunk it, to say, see, we have put in place a positive step. This is a positive step. We have halted it. And we said you've suspended it. True to it, where are we now? Now we've requested that for transparency's sake, government should publish a breakdown of the price, the pricing of, let's say, 1 liter of ex-pump premium. What goes into the pricing? What levies are being charged on it? Let us know. From January till now, how much have you collected? You see, when people have to bear with government in a vacuum, it becomes very difficult. But if we know for a fact what the extent of the problem really is, you are very transparent with us, it's easier for the people of this country who are very reasonable to bear with you. But we can't continue to do it in a vacuum. No.
Well, I want us to touch on two other issues. First, the 3 million supplementary budgets the Parliament has approved, how the CGRG views this, and then also want to understand, really, with all of these protests, I have heard people saying this will be our own Arab Spring. And does it bother you when it comes to the security of this country? Look at Libya, look at Egypt. After the Arab Spring, recovery has been difficult. But I'll hit the phone lines now and speak with the Deputy of the Interior Ministry, James Agalga. Hello, James.
Yes.
Right.
Good morning.
So, good morning to you. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, a security analyst has raised concerns that these demonstrations we have could create a platform for militants in the West African sub-region to infiltrate. How does this come to the Interior Ministry?
Well, I read the news bulletin and what Dr. Enning had to say. Clearly, Dr. Enning is a security expert, and therefore, when he issues such an alert, as a Ministry of Interior, we will take him seriously. We don't play down on anything which to do with security, and which is the reason why I think that the announcement by the police administration that they will be overstretched if the TUC were to continue with their intended nationwide demonstration, for me, is opposite with Dr. Inning's reasoning. These are security matters, and you can't take them lightly. We're talking about a nationwide demonstration, and here we find ourselves in a sub-region which is very turbulent. Dr. Inning says that some miscreants could take advantage and try to infiltrate. That is the reason why we even think that, look, the demonstrations should be spread out in such a way that we can put together personnel of the police service who may be drawn from other regions to come and support at the time. But if we were to have a nationwide demonstration, you may find that the police will not be able to provide that security cover that is most desirable in the circumstances.
James, here's my question. We wouldn't want to curtail organized labor's rights or freedom to expression. And so it boils down to the question of what will the Interior Ministry do with this information? What are you going to do about it? Because you wouldn't want to trample upon those rights organized labor has to express itself.
Well, I don't think anybody has suggested that organized labor's right to demonstrate should be curtailed. No, we haven't said that. All we're saying is that, yes, you can demonstrate, but don't do it nationwide, because if you do it nationwide, the police will have a problem. And the police service is genuinely constrained in terms of their numbers. They are just a little over 32,000. And so if you have to organize a nationwide demonstration in all the regional capitals, the police may not be able to provide you with the necessary security cover that you want to have put in place.
And this is the thinking. This is the thinking of organized labor. The fact that we can hold national events and still have our security personnel provide security for us shouldn't be any different from the demonstration they want to embark nationwide. It comes back to the question, what will the Interior Ministry do with such an information is being given, besides asking organized labor to not call off, but to have organized labor water down the nationwide demonstration?
Yes, I will suggest to organized labor to heed the advice of the police and have their demonstration spread out. they can do it region by region. Nobody is seeking to curtail their right to demonstrate, but we're saying that don't do a nationwide demonstration because of the security implication. The police service simply has not got enough personnel to deploy across the length and breadth of the country at the same time. You talk about other national events, and the TUC Secretary General talked about May Day. May Day is not a demonstration. So the two events are different. A nationwide demonstration is different from May Day celebration. So we have to draw the line. You know, when people decide to demonstrate, from the outset, the intention of the leaders may, of course, be genuine. They want to express their dissatisfaction with certain, of course, issues that they are not happy with, etc. They have the right to do so. But also, you cannot discount the fact that some miscreants could be lurking in the corner, seeking to take advantage.
James,
and of course, visit some violence, mayhem, destroy property, etc. We've seen that happen before.
James, I want us to look at the bigger picture. Are you going to work with this information? What are you going to do with this information? I'll tell you what the TUC is saying. The TUC is saying there's a limit to what they can take. They're going to do this with or without the security the police will provide. They're going to do this nationwide. For what's worse, the police has not formally communicated this to the TUC, according to the General Secretary of the group. What is the Interior Ministry going to do with the information you have?
You see, in this country, we are all governed by laws. And we must be law-abiding for that matter. Just as we talk about constitutional rights and so on, the right to demonstrate that is guaranteed under the Constitution, we also have the Public Order Act. You know, if you have to, of course, exercise your rights, the enjoyment of rights also comes with certain obligations. And we're saying that under the Public Order Act, you must notify the police. The police, of course, must express their intention to give adequate security cover. If they cannot, there are certain processes that could be initiated if the police think that, look, they will not be able to provide you with necessary security cover because of certain reasons.
James, I'm afraid we'll have to end our conversation here. Thank you very much, James, for your time. Yeah. James Ogalga is Deputy Minister of Interior. I have here with me in the studio George Anti. George Anti is Executive Secretary for the Concerned Ghanaians for Responsible Governance. I'll just give you your last word, George. We have to go to a photo now where the first edition or the maiden edition of We the People it started airing already. We have the live feed, and maybe we should go into that. Then I'll come back to you to have your last word. So now, We the People is aimed at creating a platform for citizens to hold local government instruments accountable. We're starting off with Efutu, but I understand that it's all right. I can be in the studio for a little while. So you had the conversation I had with the Interior Minister. Just wrap it up briefly.
Well, I would say, like I have already said twice or more, that we cannot keep doing the same old thing. That is what has brought us here. We have to do something different. The posturing of government, the posturing of the Ghana Police Service must change. Now, people have a democratic right. They have a right that is constitutionally guaranteed. Now, if they are exercising this right, the responsibility then falls on the police service and on government to ensure that the necessary measures that have to be put in place are put in place. But to ask the TUC and organized labor to water down the protest, I don't think that is the right way to go. Indeed, CGRG is fully behind any group in this country that seeks responsible governance and uses lawful means to do that.
George, thank you very much. George Anti is Executive Secretary for the Concerned Ghanaians for Responsible Governance group, throwing his weight behind organized labor to demand accountability from government and better conditions of living. But I want to go to Efutu right now. We are airing our maiden edition of the 15-minute feature program dubbed We the People. We connect you to your duty bearers. Let's see what happens in Efutu.